Credit cards are not free money, and they're not evil either. They're a tool, like fire. Fire can cook dinner or burn the kitchen down depending on who's holding the match and what rules they follow. If you're around 18 and thinking about your first card, nobody hands you the rulebook. You just hear scattered advice. Build credit, avoid debt, get rewards, don't get scammed. It sounds like a paradox until someone lines up the pieces in order. That's what this is: how credit cards work, what they're for, what traps exist, and how to set up a system that quietly makes your life easier instead of messy. Start with the purpose. A credit card's core job is to let you make purchases now and pay later within a very short window, usually a month, while logging your behavior with the credit bureaus to build your score. That score is a trust meter other companies use when they decide how to treat you: what rent deposit to charge, what insurance premium to set, what loan rate to offer when you want a car or a home. The card also offers protections that debit cards don't always cover: chargebacks for fraud or poor service, extended warranties, and travel protections. It can layer on rewards, cashback, points, miles, but those only matter if the first job, paying in full and on time, is automatic. Rewards without discipline are just discounts on a problem. Credit limits feel like compliments. They are offers. A bank gives you a number, your limit, and says you can borrow up to this much. That number is not your budget, it's their risk tolerance. Your budget should come from your actual money, the income landing in your checking account, and the fixed bills that must be paid. If you think of the limit as your money, you will spend like a future you will rescue you. Future you is busy. Treat the limit as a fence around their money, not yours. The billing cycle is the calendar behind the scenes. Each cycle runs about a month. At the end of a cycle, the bank totals your purchases and posts a statement with a due date a few weeks later. If you pay the entire statement balance by the due date, you pay zero interest on those purchases because of something called the grace period. If you pay less than the statement balance, even by $1, you lose that grace period, and the card begins charging interest on the leftover amount and on new purchases too, until you pay everything off. That is the most important mechanical rule. Pay the full statement balance on or before the due date every time, automatically. Do that, and the card becomes a safe, useful tool. Don't, and you'll learn the expensive half of the manual. Interest is the main reason people say credit cards are dangerous. Annual percentage rate, APR, is the price of carrying a balance. It is not a flat fee. It's a daily calculation based on your average daily balance. If your APR is 24% and you carry $1,000 for a year, you might assume $240 in interest. Reality is worse because the interest compounds. Interest is calculated daily and added to what you owe. That's why minimum payments keep you in the maze. They're designed to be small enough that you stay a customer for years. An 18-year-old doesn't need to memorize formulas. You need 2 sentences. Interest applies only when you carry a balance past the grace period. Minimum payments are the bank's plan for your money, not yours. Your score, the 3-digit reputation number, listens to 5 things, and credit cards touch all of them. Payment history, on time versus late, is the biggest slice. Miss one payment by 30 days, and your score can drop hard. Utilization is the second slice, how much of your available credit you're using. If your total limit is $1,000 and your balance is $400 when the statement closes, your utilization is 40%. Scores prefer under about 10 to 30%. Lower is better because it signals you're not desperate. Length of credit history is the average age of your accounts. Your first card will eventually become your oldest, which is why many people keep their first no annual fee card forever. New credit looks at recent hard pulls and new accounts. Credit mix cares whether you can handle different types: cards, revolving credit, and loans, installment credit. A single card you manage perfectly for a couple of years teaches the system you're reliable. That reliability makes your 20s cheaper. So how do you actually start? The cleanest path at 18 is a secured card or a student card. A secured card asks for a refundable deposit, say $300, and sets that deposit as your limit. It's training wheels with real pavement. A student card is unsecured, but designed for thin credit files, people with little or no history. If a trusted adult adds you as an authorized user on a card they use responsibly, and that card reports authorized users, you can inherit some age and perfect history. Ask them to do this only if they pay in full. You don't want to inherit their problems. Whether secured, student, or authorized user, the rule remains. Set the system on autopilot so your behavior is always perfect even when your attention isn't. Build your system like this. Use your card for one small recurring bill you already pay, your streaming service, your phone plan, or a monthly transit pass, and nothing else for the first 2 or 3 months. Turn on autopay for the full statement balance in the card app. Turn on alerts for purchases over a number you choose and for your statement due date. Put the card in your wallet and don't use it for impulse buys yet. Let the habit of paying in full harden first. Once you've watched the cycle run a couple of times, charge posts, statement closes, autopay hits, balance returns to zero, expand your usage to groceries and gas while keeping autopay and alerts on. If you can't afford to pay for it with your checking account by the due date, you can't put it on the card. This is not about guilt. It's about protecting the grace period that keeps you out of interest. Utilization management is a small trick with big payoff. Because your balance is measured when the statement closes, you can keep your reported utilization low by paying once or twice mid-cycle, in addition to autopay. Example, your limit is $500, you spend $200, you make a $150 payment a week before the statement date, and autopay clears the rest at due date. The bureaus see a small number, and your score thanks you. You didn't spend less, you just kept the reported figure slim. This matters early, when your limits are tiny. As limits rise, utilization becomes easier to keep low without mid-cycle payments. Rewards look exciting because points and cash back feel like prizes. Think of them as coupons for disciplined people. The right beginner card offers 1 to 3% back in simple categories. That's worth having, but it is not worth chasing at the expense of complexity. Don't jump to premium cards with annual fees until you know you'll get more value than the fee costs, and you can pay in full without thinking. People get in trouble when they collect cards for perks, then discover that free travel cost them interest and time. At 18, keep it boring. One card, no fee, automatic full payment, cash back you understand. You can upgrade later after your habits and income are stable. Fraud happens, and credit cards handle it better than debit. If someone steals your card number, a credit card lets you dispute and avoid losing your own cash while the investigation happens. With debit, the money leaves your checking account first. You can get it back, but the timing hurts. Still, you must be your own guard. Never share your one-time codes, don't click shady links, and freeze your credit with the bureaus when you're not applying for new credit. Use a password manager and turn on two-factor authentication. If you see a weird charge, report it immediately. The faster you act, the cleaner the outcome. Fees lurk in the fine print. The 3 big ones: annual fees, late fees, and cash advance fees. Annual fees can be worth it for advanced users, but beginners should avoid them. Late fees are pure waste. Autopay removes them. Cash advances, using your card at an ATM, are traps. They often start charging interest immediately with no grace period and carry their own fee. Never use a credit card for cash from a machine. If you need cash, that's a budget or income issue. Solve the cause, not the symptom. What if you slip and carry a balance? Don't hide. Log in, read the number, and build a short plan. Stop using the card for new purchases until it's back to zero. Pay more than the minimum on a schedule, ideally weekly, to reduce daily interest. Consider a 0% promotional balance transfer if and only if you divide the balance by the promo months and autopay that exact amount so the debt is gone before interest returns. Do not close the card after paying it off if it has no annual fee. Keeping it open preserves credit age and limit, which lower utilization and help your score. The lesson is not credit cards are evil. It's systems protect you from tired day decisions.
Responsible credit card use does something that isn't obvious. It lowers the price of your future. Lower insurance premiums, smaller rent deposits, better loan rates, those are all discounts earned by being boringly reliable. People romanticize being debt-free by avoiding all credit forever. If you can live that way while renting, moving, and eventually buying, fine. Most people benefit from building a credit file while young with low stakes. A well-run $300 limit card at 18 can become a secret weapon at 25 when your car dies and you need a loan at a sane rate. Travel is where cards shine when used correctly. Booking flights and hotels on a credit card gives you dispute power if a vendor fails you, trip delay and baggage protection on some cards, and fraud shielding while you're away. But travel is also where people overspend because screens make money feel theoretical. The rule holds: if you couldn't pay cash out of checking by the due date, you can't afford the trip. If you want free travel through points, pick one simple ecosystem later and learn it slowly. For now, earn plain cash back and let it offset real expenses you already have. You don't need the travel hacking Olympics to move well at 18. You need sleep, snacks, and a card that won't punish you if a kiosk glitches. Merchant categories matter in quiet ways. Some cards pay more for groceries or gas, others for dining or transit. If you're a student living on campus without a car, a grocery, dining, transit card is more relevant than a gas card. If you commute, the opposite may be true. Match the card to your life, not to a YouTuber's life. And remember, one good general card beats 3 mismatched ones you juggle and forget to pay. Credit limits will rise over time, sometimes automatically, sometimes when you request an increase. Only ask for more limit if you've proved to yourself for several months that your spending is steady and your autopay is working. A higher limit lowers utilization and can boost your score, useful. But a higher limit can also tempt you to spend because you have room. Your real room is your budget. Keep the raise in limit and the same old spending, then watch your utilization fall in your favor. There's a myth that closing a card improves discipline. Sometimes true, often not. If a card has no annual fee and you've managed it well, closing it can hurt your credit age and utilization. Better to keep it open, use it for a tiny recurring bill, and let autopay handle it. If a card has a fee and doesn't earn its keep, ask the bank to product change it to a no-fee version rather than closing. That preserves history without the cost. Discipline lives in your system. Autopay, alerts, a one-number budget, not in whether a plastic object exists in your wallet. Your phone can make or break your plan. Remove saved cards from your browser, turn off promotional notifications, bury shopping apps in a folder 2 swipes deep, and set alerts in your banking and card apps for transactions over a threshold and for nearing your free spend cap if you use one. Add a 48-hour list in your Notes app. Anything non-essential waits 2 days before buying. You won't stop enjoying life, you'll stop buying out of boredom. Cards are fast, your rules must be faster. Sharing money with roommates or a partner introduces coordination. Never share a credit card unless you're both on the same autopay, same rules, and same calendar. If you split bills, use a shared expenses app or a joint checking account for only the bills, and keep personal cards and accounts separate. Pay each other back quickly. Credit scores are individual, but joint accounts and shared debts create joint stress when habits differ. Protect the relationship by protecting the systems around the money. Rewards red flags. Don't chase sign-up bonuses until you can run one card perfectly for a year. A sign-up bonus may require spending $3,000 in 3 months. If that's beyond your normal budget, you'll contort your life to hit the bonus and end up paying interest, which erases the value. Bonuses are for people who already use cards as pipelines, not for people still laying the pipes. Your first victory is 12 on-time, in-full payments and a utilization that never scares you. What about emergencies? A credit card can bridge timing when you have a real emergency and an emergency fund that will pay the statement in full. Without that fund, the card becomes your lender at a high rate, and you can trap the next 6 months of your life. Build a small cash buffer first, $1,000 to $1,500, so a flat tire or urgent copay doesn't become revolving debt. Then build to a few months of expenses. Cards are shields, not safety nets. Your cash is the net. If you're already in trouble, late payments, high balances, triage. Call the issuer before you miss, explain your situation, and ask about hardship programs. Set up minimum payments on autopay at a minimum to stop late fees. Stop new spending on that card. Consider the avalanche method, tackle the highest APR first, or snowball, smallest balance first, to get momentum. Track one number weekly, total revolving debt going down. Each 100 you delete buys back future freedom. It's not about shame, it's about math and dignity. The bigger picture is that credit cards are part of your money operating system. You want a short set of rules you can recite. Use one card matched to my life. Auto-pay full statement. Keep utilization under 10 to 30%. Pay mid-cycle if needed. Keep a small cash buffer. Never take cash advances. Don't chase bonuses until ready. Freeze credit when not applying, and use alerts to catch weirdness. After a few months, you won't think about it. Your score will climb quietly. Deposits for apartments will shrink. Insurance quotes will soften. Rates on future loans will look friendly. You'll still be the same person, but the world will price you differently because you taught it you're predictable. Lastly, remember why you wanted a card and all. Not to flex a piece of metal, not to join a travel club, to make adult life smoother. Buy online safely, rent cars without extra hurdles, book trips with protection, and show a history that lowers your cost of living. At 18, your power is time. A year of perfect behavior is a gift only young people can give themselves cheaply. 12 cycles of boring excellence beats 3 years of trying to recover from a single messy month. Keep it simple, let the system do the work. Credit cards will become what they're supposed to be, quiet tools that make the rest of your plans easier to execute.